Well, hello there. Hey, y'all. Yes, it is I, the New Yorker, by way of North Carolina. Wait a minute. Is that how you say it? I don't know. I'm already digressing, and I haven't even gotten into it yet. Listen, hey, y'all. How you doing? You good? Okay. So look, this episode today that I want to discuss is a continuation of the series that I began started as an episode and has turned into a series where I'm discussing like my favorite places on certain continents. So today, the continent I'm discussing is Africa, the motherland. Yes, my home away from home, my happy place. Yes. So unfortunately, I haven't been to that many countries in Africa. There are 54, 55 countries, and yeah, I've been to like five, I think. Five. So I can't, really do that well. So I'm basically going to say that because where I've been, I've enjoyed East Africa. So I'll tell you my take on East Africa and the one place far west, northwest that I've been, which is Morocco. So if it is your first time here, let me say welcome. You are welcome. Very welcome. Yes. And if you're returning, you're still very welcome. Absolutely. You are even more welcome because you're back. And I'm so happy about that. I am excited because, I like to talk. I do like to talk. And I'm always, let me just, because I digress. That's what I do. But I'm always amazed when I, watch a video back at the way I speak. I'm amazed because I get to see me the way other people see me, which is so funny because, when you just, is the words are coming out of your own mouth. You're not looking in a mirror. You're not really used to, seeing it. But I crack myself up like the facial expressions, the hand gestures, the intonations, the inflections in voice. Oh, yeah, I crack myself up. So, anyway, I am enjoying this whole YouTube channel thing just because of that, because it's like I'm kind of getting to know me in a way that I didn't know me before, you know. So, yeah. So I'm glad you're here, and let's get into this discussion about the motherland. So, I can tell you off gate. I've been to Morocco was the first country that I visited in on the continent, and I would like to say that I don't know that I will be going back. There was a couple of places that I wanted to go in Morocco that I didn't, Chefchaouen and it's escaping me. Okay, and another place. It's another place. I just can't recall. And I did visit Tangier. Uh, um, I visited Fez and I visited uh, Marrakesh. Yeah. So I would say, just based on those places that I have been, that I don't know. I don't know that I ever want to return. I know that sounds like a harsh indictment. I've heard so many people say wonderful things about Morocco, and yet my experience was not great. It wasn't. It wasn't. Um, I found I'm trying to think if it was in Marrakesh or in Fez, but the souk in Fez was not as bad as in Marrakesh. The one in Marrakesh is humongous. So many people, so much going on, right? The best thing I can say about that is they had some really good orange juice. Like, I don't know where they got them oranges from. My word, they were so good. Anyway, um, yeah, but they are like aggressive on steroids. Like, when I say I don't want to buy anything, I don't want to buy anything. If I say I'm just looking, I'm just looking. I don't need to be called out of my name, and folks don't know. I'm like, I respect culture and all, but I'll fight a man. Some of these some of these men really need some lessons in how to talk to people. I've said it. People might not appreciate it, but yeah, I've said it and meant it. Mean it. hmm Morocco was not the greatest. I did enjoy stayed overnight in the desert. I did it's like the camel ride out to the desert, and we stayed overnight. Some slept under the stars. I slept in the tent. It was like a Bedouin sort of community, and I slept in the tent. I couldn't. Yeah, them beetles was too ridiculous. Them dung beetles was big like this, and they was all over. And I was like, no way. I'm not saying that I was all that safe inside the tent, but at least I wasn't outside. I was like, even though it was a beautiful starry night, it was wonderful, to just feel that close to like the constellations and stuff. That part was nice. The music that they played was nice, and then, of course, we had tagine everywhere you went. They had tagine. I just had way too many tagines, right? I did, but it was a good experience. That part was good. Marrakesh, as I said, was just way, 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 way too, the souk area of Marrakesh was way um, too many people, too many aggressive people. Like, they grab your hand and the women start putting the hand on your hand and stuff, and you didn't even ask for it. Then they want you to pay, and then they get an attitude, and next thing you know, it was a whole bunch of folks like trying to follow you because they want payment. Like, it was just extra. And like I said, the men couldn't take no for an answer, and they just felt like you were supposed to just bow down. Now, I'm saying, like, culturally, I know that women might kind of take a back seat there, but I'm not trying to disrespect anybody's culture, but I'm saying you're not going to be calling me so many bees before I'm going to let you have it, as I did. Okay, so it wasn't my favorite experience. Now, um, yeah, I don't think I would. I don't feel like I would necessarily want to go again. There's so many other places in the world that I could visit, and even though my experience could be different if I went, another time, I still there's. I mean, I'm literally gonna have to have a free flight and free hotel and free food and free tours. Everything's gonna have to be free for me to go again. That's the truth. Yeah, like I can live without going to Chef Joanne. I can. I can. Yeah. So that was my first foray onto the continent, and I didn't necessarily enjoy it. But the next place that I landed in on the continent of Africa was Kenya. And I remember having a just an amazing feeling of connectedness. Being an American who proudly says African American, although I don't have the ability to say where on the continent my family is necessarily from. I didn't, prior to my mom doing the African ancestry, and we were able to trace back matrilineal um, ancestry to Cameroon, but I don't know patrilineal lineage um, at all. I don't. And so, yeah, I don't necessarily have a real connection to a specific tribe. Well, okay, because of that particular thing, we know that we're from the Bamaleke people. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Bamaleki or Bamaleki? But the Bamileke people that are in Cameroon and today. Um, so, with the exception of that, like I said, being from the United States and our ancestry has um, had the mm, how do I want to say that? But being descendants of formerly enslaved persons, clearly we all know that slavery is wrong, and it is a dark history that much of Europe and the United States shares. That they not only colonized different countries, but also enslaved many people and brought many people over from the African continent. So, um, anyway, not actually knowing the real connection that I have, what specific parts of the continent of Africa, but the fact that when I stepped out of that plane in Nairobi, Kenya, I felt at home. I did. I had a feeling of like, you belong here. I did. It felt wonderful. And that was the first place where I was welcomed home. So it's not that I mean for what I do know is that, we most likely came from the western part of Africa, most definitely. But I feel very at home in the eastern part of Africa. I feel like there have been many people who have made me feel very comfortable in Kenya. So Kenya is absolutely one of my favorite places because of that. It was the first place that somebody said welcome home to me. It was where I started to learn about, traditional foods and, and experiences and different cultures and languages, and, just like how amazing, amazing, people of the African continent are, and how beautiful it is, and the wonders that the animals, just everything, like just everything, So the antithesis of what I had been uh, made to believe my entire life, being from the United States. Mhm. Yes. Are there people who are impoverished? Absolutely. Just like there are people who are impoverished, right, in Appalachia and in the U.S., like all over. Like there's no state in the U.S. that doesn't have poverty. No, not one. Not one state. Okay. So yeah, they have poverty like we have poverty here. Yeah. So, okay. But is it beautiful and remarkable and amazing? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, you know, of course, you know, Kenya is like one of my favorite places. It just is. And I have so many good friends that I've made there that I would definitely consider it to be in my top two. It is in my top two. Now, that's not to say, okay, wait a minute. That's maybe a stretch. See, this idea I had in my head that I had to pick two was just really hard because I've only been to five, right? So it should be a little easier because it's only a few. But yeah, I love Kenya. I love Kenya. But I always, and I've said this, and I've done a video about this already, that I feel like if you're going to make a soft landing on the African continent, if you want it to be like an easy transition, like easy for you to kind of get the best of all worlds, like of the nature part, of the development part, of the traditional local part, I say that your first place that you could really feel good about going to is Rwanda because it isn't so big, and Kigali is the capital city, and it has. I am just itching. Sorry, y'all. My nose itches. But Kigali is so clean. You could eat off the ground. I'm not lying to you. Check it out for yourself. I bet you could zone in someplace on Google Maps, do that whole thing, and get a view around, and you'll see what I'm saying to you. It is unbelievably clean, and it's because they come together in community once and one Saturday. I believe it's one Saturday every month. Is it a Saturday or a Sunday? I believe it's a Saturday. I believe it's a Saturday. They come together as community to clean up their neighborhood, and they keep it clean. So it's a beautiful thing. So you know, but I enjoyed Uganda as well, and of course I have my family, my TZ family, my beloved Nima. I'm gonna have to put up some pictures of me and Nima, and because Nima and I have done some travel together. We went to Malaysia and Singapore and Thailand together, which was phenomenal. It was her first time being on an airplane, and it was amazing to see it through her eyes. It was just the best, the best. So yeah, I have to put Tanzania as, or as we say in the U.S., Tanzania. But I have to put, you know, TZ as my number one spot on the continent because my family is there, and who doesn't want to go where their family is? You know, where Nima's children and her sister's children, they call me Bibi, which is grandma, right? I have no children of my own by blood, but I have children. Their parents, Judy and Nima's parents, they share them with me. You know, they are allowed to call me mom, and it is like my greatest honor. I love it. I love it. And it's Tanzania is beautiful and it hits different. And that's what I was going to say about when I was discussing in the video about the difference between like Laos and Thailand. Very similar to how I feel about um, Kenya and Tanzania. Now, it's not on the same scale, right? Um, but it's similar. So I feel like, with the exception of like Dar es Salaam is like the economic hub of TZ, right? So it is very much on par with like Nairobi, but Nairobi is gritty. Is the same thing I was saying about like the difference between Cambodia and some other places in Southeast Asia. It's like it's a little gritty. It's like it's a little like rough. It is not for the faint of heart. And people will say the same thing about like New York. If you come into the US, like, you're gonna get a totally different vibe if you're in California as opposed to being in New York. It's the same kind of thing, with being in Nairobi, like versus Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. It's like it's a different it's a different vibe. It's a little bit of a different vibe. Is it, you know, packed with people? Yeah, millions of people. There's millions of people in both of these cities. So it's similar in that way. And there is development. There are malls and shopping centers and movie theaters and high rise buildings and all that kind of stuff. They do exist, but not that far outside of these big cities. They have small villages, and in that way, TZ and Kenya are very, very similar. Very similar. Um, the nature, they have all these national parks, and Nairobi is the only capital city that has a national park within its limits. So you can literally go from seeing a high-rise building, and from like when I'm in Nairobi National Park, you can see these high-rise buildings in the distance, and close up you're seeing elephants and giraffes. Like, so that's like bugged out. Like, wow. So yeah, um, yeah, I have such a a warm spot in my heart for TZ, but I love Kenya too. I love the Masai Mara. I love oh my gosh, just Nakuru. I love just small villages. I love Mombasa, the beach area, there's so many good things both places. Like TZ and just Tanzania and Kenya did both like really top notch in my heart. So in my heart of hearts, those are my two favorites. But if you are a new traveler, I would definitely recommend, letting your first trip be to Rwanda, because I feel like you'll have less of a culture shock. You'll be able to get the best of all of the different things, the nature, the views, the beautiful rolling hills of Rwanda, and the good people and such, right? I feel like you can really have a good time there. But I also understand that some people are afraid to go there because of the history of genocide in the past, and it really wasn't that long ago. It was like, 25 or so, 25, 30 years ago when, these things were happening. But I think if you go and you do visit the Genocide Memorial Museum, you will get to know a little bit more of what went into the conflict that arose, and um, also understand, that foreign involvement, colonialism, people, from other countries coming in and trying to take advantage of the natural resources that exist there. It's in their best interest to have people at odds, because, while you're looking over this way, you're not noticing what's happening that way. And yeah, so that part. But yeah, those uh, Kenya and Tanzania are my absolute favorites. But the place that I would recommend visiting first, if you've never been, is Rwanda. And that is not to say that Uganda is a slouch by any means. Uganda is green and beautiful and developing. And Entebbe is a nice city. Um, and I can't think of the other place. Oh yeah, yeah. You know how the mind works. But it's like my mother says, like a carousel. It'll come back around. Not always, but sometimes by the time it comes around, I'm on to a whole other topic. So it is what it is. But this is just to give you a little bit of insight into my favorite places. And I thank you for hanging in there with me through this episode of my faves. So this is my Africa faves. I've only been to 5 countries, so I cannot at all give a great, you know, comparison. I can't. There's like 54, 55 countries, and I've only been to 5. So, you know, I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. Yeah. So, anyway, I thank you for sharing time with me. It means the world to me that I get to share my world with you, and I get to spend time with you. I get to talk about things I've experienced, and I love it because if not, I guess I'd be talking to myself. I guess. Um, but like I always say, um, do good and be better. Okay, do good. Do good, and not just for you. Do good for somebody else, and be better. A better version of yourself today than you were yesterday, and an even better version tomorrow. Okay? And as far as the business of YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Okay? All of those things, please, and thank you. If I don't say anything else, I want to say thank you because I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking your time because it is the most valuable commodity that you will ever have. It is the currency of life, your time, right? So I thank you for that. And I'm going to say ciao for now.